You're listening to Finding Your Genius Zone with Dirk Nevelle. With the help of successful individuals across industries, Dirk breaks down the unknown parts of every vocation while highlighting the importance of finding a career where you can leverage your natural skills, passions, and interests. Now here's your host, Dirk Nevelle.
Hello, everyone. This is Dirk Nevelle. Welcome to my podcast. On with me is a friend, Don Kitch. Don, welcome.
Thanks, Dirk. Good morning to you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I know that you've had a busy day, and I appreciate you taking the time. And, years ago, I bumped into him, I think in Palm Springs at the airport, and I've been following from afar. I think he's got a really interesting career. He's in motorsports, and I'm going to let him elaborate on that. But I think it's, I haven't had anybody yet in that industry, and so this is my first. So, Don, welcome. Maybe the best way to start this off, if you met somebody out of the blue and maybe you're on a flight or whatever, and they ask you, what do you do? How would you respond?
Well, I think, interesting question. I think the global answer to that is indeed motorsports, which is an all-encompassing, it can involve and center around, obviously race car driving in competition, academia, which is what I am doing now. That's a kind of a very faceted catch-all title. I'm involved in motorsports, and that changes as your career, progresses. Obviously my early on initial focus and involvement was racing. I sat in the race car for 40 years, I guess. And then toward the tail end in your sunset careers of that involvement, you could trail off to, to academia, as I am in now, related to performance racing school, teaching people all kinds of advanced driver techniques. And along the way, you can do some brand ambassador stuff for the manufacturers in the industry. You can do some consulting within the industry, product development, all of that kind of stuff. So on a daily basis, for me for the last 40 years, if my phone rings, it's about cars, and that's the way I like it.
I love it. I think what you're saying, if you're listening to Don, there's a lot of different flavors or avenues underneath motorsports. Your area has been really owning a business, a driving school, and being an instructor. Is that accurate?
It is accurate. In the life of all race car drivers, you wake up one day and your wife tells you it's time to grow up and get a real job. And for me, that was when my wife Donna and I started a performance racing school here at Pacific Raceways in Seattle, Kent. It's where I started my amateur career 40 years ago. And so it just seemed like a natural for that to be the home base of our school performance.
So we'll get deep into the motorsports, but I'm curious, I don't know much about your background prior to. Can you just kind of walk us through like school, if you went to college, where you went to college, and then coming out of school, were you right into the motorsports industry or did you do something different?
Well, I graduated from high school and then on to college. Out of school, my passion was always wheels, anything with wheels on it, 2 or 4, primarily 4. That was always my passion. But there was a period of time while I was chasing my dream, my passion, where I was involved in the medical industry, sold surgical equipment. Kind of to subsidize myself and feed myself while I was, continuing to pursue motor racing. And then eventually, I found the way to involve myself 100% in motor racing.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting because I have a lot of guests that maybe their passion is something else, but they get into something so they can kind of pay the bills. And then, as time goes on, maybe they become more involved with their passion. It kind of sounds like that was your road.
Without a doubt. And while traveling that road, the one thing I learned was, if you clearly identify what you believe your life holds and what you really want to do, then you need to go after it with everything you've got. Don't let anything or anybody get in your way. Don't let anyone steal your dream. Don't let anyone tell you that it can't happen. I lost some time. I lost a little momentum, kind of sitting around waiting for somebody to make it happen for me. I mean, I just literally believed I was going to wake up one morning in my real cool, snazzy race driver suit, and I was a race car driver. Now, you need to go after it right now. Make up your mind what you want to do and go after it. Don't let anything get in the way. And the other thing I would tell you is, for me, even after 40 years and getting a little bit up there in age, so to speak, I still have so much energy and so much passion and so much love for what I'm doing. And that's good, because you know what? I still got a daughter to get through college. I still got some people I owe money to. So I have to work. But you know what? The best part of that story is I want to work. I love being up and out at the racetrack at the crack of dawn, waiting for our days to start. And therefore, I'm really lucky to have found a home in what I really, really enjoy doing.
Yeah, my observation of you through the years has been like, you've always felt youthful to me. I mean, in a respectful kind of way. I've always felt like, and I can't help but think that your passion and your enthusiasm in your career, like doing what you love, kind of makes you a better version of yourself, like to everybody around you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I know I'm very lucky. I feel very lucky. And I like to exhibit that feeling, that luck, and show people and say, you know what, find something you love doing and do that, because that's kind of the way I feel. And I want you to see that you can feel that way. So thank you for that. I'm a happy camper. I really am a lucky camper and a very happy camper.
So I'm curious, because you had this interest in wheels at a young age. I mean, maybe since you were a little guy, I don't know. And then, that's not an industry like, a lot of the voices that we have, family, people around us, they want your world to be safe. They want, you have a career that, is predictable. Do you remember, were there voices or people in your life kind of coming out of school that were like pushing you away from following your passion, or did you experience that at all?
Well, I would say primarily that was probably my dad. And I mean, my dad was All-American football. I mean, we had a war between the two of us constantly. I'd hand him a football, or I'd hand him a steering wheel. He'd hand me a football. He wanted me to play ball. I wanted to drive cars. I didn't want to play ball because you got hit and you got hurt, and I didn't like that. Of course, conveniently, forgetting the fact that you can get hurt in motor racing. But I didn't really have any support, which makes it really, really hard at a young age. You need somebody, supporting, helping you, not necessarily financially, although that's a big part of it early on, but just being there for you and having you where you need to be and exploring options for you. Well, I didn't really have that. And I kind of had to ferret it out on my own, but I didn't really have anybody other than, maybe my dad, kind of, squashing my dream, so to speak. Most of my friends were envious, supportive, all of that.
Yeah. I had a dad that was very superficial with money, and I remember I felt a lot of pressure to go down a road that I didn't really feel like it was the road that I wanted to go down. So the reason I bring it up is because if there's younger people watching, I think if you're listening to Don, I consider it very brave and whatever the words you want to use to describe it. But at a young age, what you did, I think, is hard to do. staying true to your passion. So anyways, I think that's great. I'd like to see more people do that. Getting back into the career, you are a business owner, you are an instructor. So you have this passion around motorsports, but, not everybody can actually run a business and, spend time with their passion. I mean, those are different skill sets. Is that something that you were good at from the beginning, or did it take a while to be able to kind of work on both sides of the fence?
No, I mean, I think I was decent at it early on. Motor racing, even as a racing car driver, motor racing is big, big business with just a touch of sports added to it, right? So as a racing driver, for every 20 minutes you spend in the cockpit of the race car, you're probably spending 20 hours on the business side of it, your marketing plan, your branding, working with your partners. We don't really refer to them as sponsors anymore. They're team partners, working with them. So you learn early on as a race driver to be a good businessman. And then that just carried over to running Proformance. While it's a racing school, it's a business. It has payables and receivables and staffing and marketing and all of the elements that make up a business. And you take the business acumen that you developed as a driver and you just transfer it over to the business of running a school. But it's a business. Is it fun? Yes. Is it at a racetrack? Yes. Do we play cars every day? Yes. But there's still all of the elements, our maintenance of the cars, maintenance of the building, staffing, training the staff, payroll, receivables, payables, even sometimes human resources. So, yeah, it's all there.
So are people, is it all of the above? Are you getting like really credible, talented drivers who do this for a living, as well as just, people who have a fascination with, driving nice cars fast? Is your clientele all of the above, or do you have, say, a specific type of niche that you cater to?
No, all of the above. Probably 30% of what we do at Proformance is competition training and driver development for entering the amateur racing community. We've licensed 65 drivers already this year to enter the club racing community. But 30 to 70% of what we do is corporate team building program, valued employee recognition programs for corporations. We do a lot of work with the automobile manufacturers in the promotion and rollout of new vehicles. We do new car buyer clinics for the dealerships, helping people better understand what they bought, how to fully enjoy it, stay safe in it. Our new car buyer clinics for the dealership network are very, very popular. Do a lot of work with law enforcement, teaching them how to chase the bad guys without hitting the good guys. We do some anti-apprehension executive protection stuff. We're doing a lot of work with our teen drivers in teen street survival skills. So obviously we're highly involved in just sport recreational driving. That is the fastest growing recreation in our nation. People coming out with their cars, learning about them, and enjoying recreationally driving on the racetrack. It's not a race. It's just them going out and learning high performance driving techniques on the road course. So we're very, very diversified.
Yeah. What would you say? What's the hardest thing about what you do? I don't mean to dwell on anything negative, but is it keeping staff? Is it the marketing? Is it dealing with the P&L and the business stuff? If someone's interested and they're passionate about cars like you, and they're thinking, God, I would love to start a driving school, what's the hardest thing about it?
Well, first of all, I'm really lucky to have Donna and Sienna, my daughter, backing me up from the business management standpoint. Donna is the one that just keeps this whole thing pointed straight from a business standpoint. She and Sienna do all of our social media platforms, all of our marketing. Donna does all of the accountings, handles all of the client registration, all of the instructor staffing. So that side of it, from a business management standpoint, I'm really well supported by Donna and Sienna. that affords me the ability to deal strictly with the curriculum, what we're teaching, how we're teaching it, how we're messaging, training the instructors, managing the flow of the racetrack at events that we're facilitating. I think the biggest challenge we have, or I have, that I take very seriously is getting people in and out of our school and the racetrack having a fun, learning, safe experience. That I find to be always challenging. Making sure that, like I said, everyone has a very productive time with us out there. It's a racetrack, and it happens real fast at the racetrack, and failure at what we do is not an option. So that's where I find the most challenge.
Yeah, I want to get into that, but before I do, like the makeup of your company, like to do what you do, does that involve like a large employee base, or can it be done via like a tight group with a lot of maybe not part-time employees, but maybe 1099, or do you need a staff of 100, 50, 20, 10?
Probably we have 15 certified professional instructors. Now we don't have all 15 with us on any given day, but there are certain days when we do have 15 instructors on site. Very common to have 10. They're all independent 1099 independent contractors. They're all brand ambassadors, product specialists. They roam the nation doing these kinds of programs for the industry. But their primary focus is performance. So above and beyond the instructor staff, Dawn is on site every day. So is Sienna when she's not off to school, just to kind of organize and help kind of the flow of the day. Then we've got our medical staff that's on site. Rarely do we need them, but it is a racetrack, and so it's good industry practice to have medical team on site. We have flag marshals, the ones out on the turns that use the flags to signal the drivers. So yeah, any given day, we might have 20 people totally on site for an event.
I'm just thinking, maybe I'm way off, Don, but imagine somebody that's passionate, they think they can drive, and then they get behind a wheel of some of these cars that are probably way faster than what they're used to. Are they get the instruction, and then are they driving by themselves, like with other drivers, or do they have the track to themselves?
So starting out, their initial training is done always with an instructor in the right seat. At some point, they then do graduate to solo status, where they're out driving on their own on the track under our observation. We're all on radio contact. We've all got our eyes on them all the time, just watching, making sure that they're having fun, they're not struggling, they're in compliance of our guidelines. The flow of traffic and overtaking and being overtaken on the racetrack is all very structured and disciplined. In 30 years of running performance, we've never had a car hit another car. Overtaking is always in flagged, let by zones with hand signals. So pretty structured and pretty disciplined, but no, at some point they're out on the track on their own.
Yeah. I'm curious, one of the things I just thought of is you've worked with some elite drivers, and I'm sure you were one of them as well. I've always been fascinated by the best of the best, like what separate, whether it's football or tennis, golf, whatever. What is the skill set like for the elite race car? Because when you turn on, you watch Formula or whatever on TV, and there's these individuals that are consistently winning. I've always curious, since I don't know anything about driving cars like this, what is it about, like, if you were to describe like the criteria to make an elite driver, is that something you're able to do?
I think you reach a certain point with the the physical end, the mechanical end of driving the car, you reach a certain point where you're good, you're decent, right? That, that's 80-90%. The remaining 10%, where you transition from being good to elite, is mental disciplines. That's kind of my specialty as a driver coach. When I'm coaching, I like to work on the tweaks we can do with somebody's brain to take them to that elite step. And it's commitment, it's focus, it's that mental discipline that separates the good ones from the very special.
If you don't mind, I want to go a little deeper on that. Because I'm really curious. This fascinates me. Is it like visualization or meditation where somebody sees themselves winning, or is it more about being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, or is it going with your gut, like a good athlete? If he makes a cut or whatever, it's just instinctual. I mean, can you go a little deeper on that 10% or that 5% elite mindset?
Why? You just did.
Okay, that's it.
You've obviously been doing your homework, or yeah, you're right, Dirk. I mean, it's we do a lot with visual imagery, programming, mental programming, developing those subconscious skills. Obviously, physical fitness is a huge part of it, maintaining physical fitness. But everything you described right there is right out of anything I've written or read. Okay. Kind of that, like I said, that mental discipline. But we do a tremendous amount in this sport with visualization and imagery. And that forms a program, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Why rewires your brain? I mean, we go deep on that. And so one of my thoughts is like I've always wondered, like, this might sound a little funny, but like if you're playing professional football, or you're a safety, or you're a basketball NBA player, there are certain sports that necessitate, like, you've got to be in really good shape, strong, fit, etc. And I'm wondering, can you be a little out of shape, have a beer gut, but just have all the mental strength? Like, or do you actually physically have to be like in good shape?
If you're going to be in the elite level or a cut above, if you're going to be good, approaching special, you need to be physically fit. No smoking, no drinking, aerobic, upper body strength, all of that. It's hard work. It's hard mental work and physical work in the car, and sometimes at extremely high temperatures. So gone are the days of the guys getting out of the car and, lighting up smoke, and those days are gone. I mean, okay. Drivers that are special, the drivers that are driving at an elite level, certainly like the Formula One drivers. I mean, they all have trainers. They all have mental disciplines coaches. They all have performance coaches. They all have physical trainers.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll stop asking about like the elite, but my last question is like Formula versus NASCAR. Like, are those completely different skill sets or just different cars? I know they're different cars, but like, could a Formula One elite driver translate over to say or is it a totally new learning curve for them?
No, not totally. They can transition surprisingly quite smoothly. Different car, yes. Driven completely different, yes. But it's surprising how F1 drivers can become quite comfortable quite quickly with sports car racing and or NASCAR, which slowly but surely NASCAR is becoming sports cars with the second Gen 2 cars. By the way, I want to back up real quick. You said something a minute ago that caught me out a little bit. I thought maybe it's called a Dawnism. In the book, The Art of Racing in the Rain, you hear them all the time. Driving a racing car is an exercise of becoming comfortable with discomfort. And I heard you say that a minute ago. Is it a matter of becoming comfortable with discomfort? Yes, it is. And that's a mental discipline.
Yeah, I like that. That's powerful.
Yep.
I want to get in, if you don't mind, in a little bit on the movie that you just referenced. But I want to also, if the audience is listening and they're curious, okay, they understand on a high level what you do. Can you kind of get us a glimpse into your week? And I know you have a support system with Donna and Sienna that kind of involve a lot of the P&L and the business and the marketing and the branding. But like what's Don's week, Monday morning, Thursday night, Sunday afternoon? What is it, if you were to take a piece of pie and say, okay, X percent is out there on the track working with like, what does your week look like?
Well, I'm one of two places. I'm either in the office or I'm at the racetrack. And both places, I'm on the phone constantly. And I'm pretty well noted for being seen with a phone to my ear always. But in the office, I'm, dealing with emails, texts, returning calls, all of the things that make up being in an office. I mean, does it involve cars? Always, yes. But for the most part, it's all of the things. It's communicating, it's, scheduling, all of that. At the racetrack, it's strictly the teaching element. It's strictly managing the day, running the day, the classroom portion of the day, making sure the students clearly understand what we're asking them to do, why we're asking them to do it, and that they're able to do it. But my week is one of the two places, either here in the office doing office stuff or at the racetrack. What's my preference? Being at the racetrack.
Yeah.
But nothing happens at the racetrack till something happens in the office, right?
No, I get it. So question on both. On the racetrack, are you instructing instructors that are reaching the end product, or are you directly articulating or speaking to the clients, or both?
Both. I do the classroom portions. Our days out there are about 80% practical, 20% classroom. I am doing the classroom portions, and then I turn the clients over to the instructors for their practical experience, with myself intervening in certain areas in either breakout sessions in the classroom or trackside.
Okay. As far as the office, I am curious on that. Like, and I'll throw some assumptions out. Just, you're talking about being on the phone a lot. Is that like dealing with partners or sponsors that, hey, you've got a really good driver and you're like an agent almost, where you're talking so-and-so up? Or is it, trying to create, like, bring in elite drivers for events to bring in people to watch? Is it, what are some of the typical consistent conversations you have? Not the paying the bills and the making sure your insurance is updated, et cetera, but like, what are some of those phone calls about?
I try to keep those calls at a higher level, dealing with a bigger picture than the daily client. Those calls can be about new relationships with manufacturers. Right now, we're a Toyota school. We have a fleet of Toyota cars. Our support vehicles are Toyotas, but we're always looking for bigger and better partnerships. So I might be dealing with a manufacturer and its dealership network related to being a partner of the school. There's a lot going on right now in the development of the racetrack, and I'm kind of intimately involved in that. So things at a higher level, always looking for new potential instructors. So I'm always interested in guys or gals that are interested in being a part of our team. So I'll have some phone conversation with them. So it's pretty multifaceted. I never know when my phone's going to ring.
So in your lifestyle of your career, do you feel like you have good balance between work? Like, can you shut it off and go on a trip with Donna and not have to look at your phone all the time? I mean, or is this a 24/7 kind of situation?
Good question. I'm trying to find the balance, and I think I'm doing better. But when you're in business for yourself, there's, you get to pick which hour out of 24 you take off. But I'm trying to do better. And yeah, Don and I are gone. When Don and I are gone, we can turn it off, but we've always got our laptops and we've always got our cells. We're always responding to email. We're always responding to telephone. It's just the nature of being in business for yourself and being an overachiever, workaholic, perfectionist, which both Don and I are, and Sienna.
Which is nice because you love what you're surrounded. I mean, if you were selling paper clips, you might not have the same enthusiasm. So it's fortunate that you're involved with your passion. I'm not asking what you make. What I'm asking is, what is like the compensation model for somebody that has this kind of business? Is it a monthly fee that you get, or is it a one-time shot? I mean, are there a lot of different income streams that are part of this career?
Well, from the driving standpoint, from the race driving standpoint, if you're a factory driver, let's say you are a McLaren driver, then you have a salary, you have a compensation package from that factory. You're paid monthly plus maybe a percentage of the winnings. If you're like a journeyman driver, like you really have no attachment to any one particular team or factory, you just are kind of a have helmet, will drive kind of guy. Depending on the level, that can be anywhere from $5,000 a race to $10,000 a race. Obviously that's all kind of negotiable between your agent and the team, but somewhere in that area. Most drivers are independent contractors. They earn their money either in the seat of the race car or doing other things, appearances, public speaking, product development, product testing.
What if you're a business owner like yourself and you're not being compensated for driving? Like if you have a race car facility and you're providing training and curriculum, is that a annuity stream that is like turns over every month, or is that like a one-time, here's the fee? Or, I mean, the reason I ask these questions is because I think a lot of people don't really understand, maybe some people don't care, but I think a lot of people should understand how they're compensated, not what they're compensated, but what are the different income streams. So as a driver, that makes sense. But as a business owner like yourself, like, how do you scale the business financially?
Well, Proformance is a for-profit business. I mean, we're a full corporation, right? We have the fees we charge for services, and we have the costs that we bear for providing those services. And the difference between those two figures is this thing called profit, and we're paid out of the profit.
Okay. So people that want to race or learn, it's just basically a fee that they pay. It's an interesting thing for me. So tell me, what is what's the big why? Is it just your passion? Is it seeing somebody like maybe nervous and then all of a sudden drive really well and just the elation? Like, what is it about it? I'm sure there's multiple things that, make you happy and give you joy, but is there one that kind of is at the top?
Oh, another good question. For me, I so love the beauty of driving a car well, and seeing somebody transition to driving it well, and what that does for their inner belief system, their confidence, their self-perception, all of that. I mean, I had a client the other day that's been spending some time with us, and I watched her get out of the car, and I don't know a lot about her personal life, but I can tell there's been something of challenge. But I saw her get out of the car feeling so alive and so good about herself, and what she'd accomplished. And can I pay my bills with it? No. But do I thoroughly love seeing people start at 8 o'clock in the morning, one person, and be a different and better person at 5 o'clock at night? I love that.
Yeah, I would assume that's powerful.
And I do it playing cars.
Yeah. What, Don, you've been in the business 35 years, is that right?
Well, I started in 80?
1980. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
What didn't you see coming? Is there one thing, like if you were to, if you let's say you had a child that wanted to follow in your footsteps, and you're like, this is something that surprised me and that you need to be aware of if you want to go down this road. Is there something that might have caught you off guard?
I think, if I look at my career and why it maybe didn't go as far as it could have and been as noted as it might have been, I'm not saying I didn't accomplish my fair share of stuff, but I could have done better. And I think what I got caught out on is a lack of full commitment. I just, again, I thought I just thought I was going to wake up good. And then there were others that worked at it harder. And I guess my counsel would be, once you decide you're going to do this, then make up your mind you're going to be good at it, and work at being good at it. Looking back, looking in my office right here at all the cars I've driven, every single one of them I could have driven better. Obviously that's probably true of any car and driver, but I could have done better and could have gone further if I had made a stronger commitment early on. And I would counsel young drivers to make that commitment. If you decide you're going to do this and you want to be good at it, then go be good at it. Do whatever it takes.
I love it. Do you ever see, you watch those music shows, or at least I do, American Idol, or when you discover genius, is it often that you see somebody that's, a young driver, and you're like, whoa, this guy or gal has something, like, is that something that happens, or you just need to do it for a long time? I'm just curious if you're able to ever recognize genius early in drivers.
Yeah, that's a common asked question. Is there just natural talent? You're just born with it. I think yes. I think there are certain males and females that are a lap up on the field, that it just comes together quicker for them because there's just something innate in their makeup that gets them a step or two ahead of everyone else. I think for the most part, you can build a decent skill set in anybody, but I do think there are some that get it quicker. Then I think there are also some who just they find that path from good to elite easier and quicker.
Okay. As we wind this down, I've got a couple more questions. I would love, can you just your involvement, I know you had a tie obviously into the movie you referenced. Can you just, for the audience, like, was that a movie that you helped write that was about your life? Or there's something I remember in the airport you and I were talking about that I didn't know, that your association with the movie. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that?
I wrote a paper about 25 years ago called The Art of Racing in the Rain: Mental and Physical Disciplines for Drivers to Become Proficient Racing in the Rain. If you're good in the rain, it's a great equalizer between you and drivers who aren't good in the rain. And you get yourself good in the rain by getting out on a wet racetrack every single time you can. So the paper we use as a handout in our race licensing and driver development camp for racing, when we come to the section on racing in the rain, the art of racing in the rain, we use kind of as a handout. Garth Stein, the author of the book, New York bestseller, Starbucks book of the month for multiple months, came job shadowed for a bit, then announced he wanted to take the content that he had captured from job shadowing me and write a book. And he said, I want to title the book The Art of Racing in the Rain. The book is a true story, actually happened here in Seattle. A lot of the book centered around performance and my life early on, transitioning from amateur to pro, and the creation of performance, and my relationship with Enzo the dog, my daughter Donna, our kind of our family path, centered also around one of our instructors at Performance. Like I said, true story, happened here in Seattle. Then a lot of the book, a lot of the Denny Swift little, kind of isms, referred to as Dawn-isms. A lot of that is me, slow hands in the fast stuff, fast hands in the slow stuff. Nice, quiet hands. All of those things were me. The dog riding in the truck out on the track, that was our dog, Otto, Auto, Otto, who then got named Enzo. Then Patrick Dempsey, Grey's Anatomy, who I was spending some time with from 2009, 10, 11, and 12, bought the rights to the book, wanted to produce it and star in the movie as Denny Swift, the lead character. Patrick bought the rights to the book, then created the movie. By the time we got the movie to the big screen, Patrick had kind of aged out of character. So Milo Ventimiglia played the lead role, Denny Swift. Gary Cole was in it. Amanda Siegfried was in it. Kevin Costner was the voice of the dog, because you know the book. The dog told the whole story of the book. So wonderful story, not really about racing, more like about life and injustice and justice in the end. And but a lot of good stuff in there. Very, very sad for dog lovers in the middle, but everybody got what they wanted in the end. The ending of the book was absolutely beautiful. Milo was a pleasure to work with. He did such a great job of ending the movie. So yeah, Don and I had a private showing of the movie, and I got to tell you, Dirk, I mean, we're sitting in this 400-seat theater all by ourselves, and when they hit the lights, we were just blubbering blobs of tears.
Yeah, I will tell you, I love movies. That movie really affected me because I love dogs, but the loss of his wife, the very ending was super powerful when the little boy introduced himself as Enzo, and
Right.
then the relationship between Denny and his daughter, when they're out in Italy, which was it was such a beautiful scene, just that whole. But I was really impressed because that was a powerful movie for me, and I thought it was done really, really well. And so kudos to you.
For me, Sienna and the relationship I have with Sienna, I mean, she and I are incredibly close. And if you look at the end of the movie, it's just so many beautiful elements. I mean, he's made it. Denny Swift has become Ferrari factory driver, world champion. He survived it. He lived it, survived it. He's now in Europe with his daughter close by him. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, and he was very. I mean, I know it was a movie, but he had a very humble side to him, which I'm always attracted to. When someone is skilled and a genius, but he just had a side that I really liked in a character. Don, as we wind down, there's two more questions I have. One is there anything I haven't asked you? If somebody is really excited and are interested in motorsports, whether it's instructing or starting a driving school like yourself, is there something I haven't asked or any last piece of advice that you might want to give somebody that's listening?
I think we touched on the majority of it, the most important elements. I mean, obviously, if you're going to start a driving school, you've got to have some credentials, some background, something to kind of hang your hat on, right? So you kind of start out driving, and you take the relationships you've built, the reputation you've built, the knowledge you've developed, and then you start the school. Racing is a business. Treat it like a business. Run it like a business. It is big business. But I will tell you, it's a wonderful industry, and it is an industry. It's a huge industry, getting bigger by the minute. So treat it like that. It's a profession. It's a career. It's a profession. You can certainly, take care of your family, pay your bills with it. But be committed. Be committed to doing it and doing it right.
I mean, I've heard, isn't it the number one or the most popular sporting event? Not event, but in the world. I mean, more than football, more than any soccer, whatever. I was told that this is it.
The stickball people and the round ball people would like to deny that, but the numbers show that it is the biggest spectator sport in our nation.
Yeah. So if you couldn't do what you're doing, you couldn't be an instructor, you couldn't have any association with the driving school, motorsports, is there a dream job? Like, I'm just, I ask this question of all my guests because it gives my audience a better flavor, a lens of who you are. Is there something you would love to do if you could do anything?
Dirk, I got to be honest with you. I just can't see myself doing anything. I'm working harder right now, working longer hours than I ever have in my life, and feeling better about it all the time. The energy and the passion. I know if I can't do this, then I'd probably, I guess I'd be homeless.
Well, yeah, well, you're in the right state. There's a lot of that going on, unfortunately. But Don, I really appreciate you taking the time. I've always looked up to you, and I'm just really impressed with what you've done, and I appreciate it.
No worries. I've really enjoyed it, Dirk. It's a great morning, a beautiful morning to have a little catch up with you. And thanks so much for the time.
Thanks, Don.